Hey guys, Andy here, and today I'm going to show you how to do slow motion in Adobe Premiere Pro. And so what we have on the timeline here are 4 separate clips at 4 separate frame rates. This first one here is at 120 frames per second, this one at 60, this one at 30, and this one at 24. The first method we'll be looking at is simply changing the speed duration of the clip to match the sequence's frame rate of 24 frames per second. So the easiest way to do that is simply to select the clip, right click, go to speed duration. And in this case, since we're on a 24 frames per second timeline and we're using a 120 frames per second clip, you will slow down the speed to 20%, which will put it at 24 frames per second. And then you can just continue to go down the line and do it this way. For 60 frames per second, you will put it at 40%. For 30 frames per second, you would put it at 80%. And then the 24 frames per second clip, you'd obviously leave that alone. So now the second way that you can use slow motion in Adobe Premiere Pro is to use the interpret footage method. Now we'll go ahead and go to our project menu here. We'll select the 120 frames per second clip once again. We'll right click, go to modify, and go to interpret footage. And here you can go up to frame rate, and it's using its current frame rate of 120 frames per second. We'll go ahead and select this and put it at the 24 frames per second of the sequence, and then we'll hit OK. And then what this is going to do is basically take the same clip at the same length it was at 120 frames per second, but slow it down to 24 frames per second, as you can see here. And so the third way to do slow motion is to use time remapping. Now, the easiest way to do this is to make sure this video clip is nice and big, then right-click your effects, go to time remapping, and select speed. And then from there, you can select this little gray bar here. You can raise or lower to increase or decrease the speed. Then it adjusts the file size accordingly. And so the fourth method for doing slow motion is to use keyframes in time remapping, also commonly known as speed ramping. So we'll go ahead and we'll go back to our time remapping, go to speed, and we'll just add a keyframe right there. And then we'll go ahead to the part of the clip after the keyframe, and we'll just go ahead and slow it down to 20%. And then from there, you can use these little arrow keys to adjust the ramping or the transition from normal speed to slow speed. And then you can also adjust the curvature here as well. We'll go ahead and kind of spread this out a bit so you get a nice, solid ease into it rather than just a sudden switch. And then you can also add another keyframe here as your out point as well. So we'll go ahead and raise this up to 100% once again. And then we can adjust the little arrow keys here, little in and out points, to make it more of a ramp, hence the name speed ramp. And then it'll ramp back to 100% speed. So yeah, that's how you can do slow motion in Adobe Premiere Pro. If you like this tutorial, be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more tutorials. And if you have a question, be sure to leave it in the comments down below, and your question could be the next tutorial. This is the Andy-san, signing for now, and as always, we'll see you next time. Bye guys.